all I can say is that I'm in big peace with myself. I'm not fully in control of my future at the moment, and it's something that bothers you. Obviously, I think any human being in this position will struggle a bit. But given that it's not in my hands, given that the victory came, it took a long time though, but it came, and I felt that I made the most of my opportunities. So if I have a seat for next year, it's great. But if not, I'm willing to come back in 22. I believe that I'm at the peak of my career and the best years are ahead of me. So even missing a year next year, I'm determined enough to come back for 22. So if I have to take a year out, I'll do it. But I'm more determined than ever to come back. And I think the victory gave me some peace to myself, but also a lot more hunger. I want more in the sport, and after you do the first one, you know that you can do it again, and I want to do it many more times again.
Now, George, heartbreak immediately after the race, of course, on Sunday. What was the reaction from your friends and family back at home?
Equal heartbreak, to be honest. My mum was in tears, bless her, afterwards, and my sister as well. We live this together, this sport, and it's so passionate, emotions are so high, and obviously this was my first opportunity to not just to win, but to actually score points, and that was such a big difference. And having that taken away from us not once but twice was difficult. But having time to reflect on the weekend, I've left with my head held high, and proud of the job we managed to achieve last weekend.
George, you said before last week's race that you weren't putting any pressure on yourself, but the manner in which you drove and the compliments you received from the very highest level, has that actually created a bit of pressure in terms of expectation level now going forward?
No, not really, to be honest. I think it's obviously really nice to have been recognised for the job we achieved last week, and but I'll be approaching this weekend the same. It's only my second Grand Prix in the Mercedes. I've still got a hell of a lot to learn, and it's going to be difficult. So last week absolutely exceeded expectations. Valtteri was pushing me the whole way from Friday onwards, putting it on pole and pushing me throughout the race as well. It wasn't tricky, and like he says, we're back to a more ordinary circuit this weekend, and but yeah, it'd be great to get another opportunity.
Yeah, question for Valtteri. You said that some of your performances recently you haven't been happy with, but is it also a fact, or do you accept that it could be a fact that the level of concentration that you have to even compete against Lewis in qualifying and the race takes so much out of you, or took so much out of you over the summer, for example, that in a way it's normal that your level drops off, or do you not accept that's the reason?
It's these kind of moments when you feel that you don't perform 100% for many different races for different reasons. For sure, there's a lot to learn about, and it's no secret that battling with Lewis years and years, I know that how much it takes out of me when I every single weekend try to get 100% out of me and keep pushing, and sometimes I get close, sometimes I manage to beat him. But having 4th year in a row a defeat in terms of championship title is tough to accept, and for sure it has an effect. And when the title is lost, it's not quite the same, even though you should always give 100%, and which is what I try. But everyone knows how sensitive mentally this sport is. So I think from this year again, there's lots to learn that hopefully I can use for the future.
That incident last week, after the actual incident, it looked like you were a bit caught out by the low grip. In that split second, when you went on the throttle again, were you a bit surprised that it was gravel that looked an awful lot like asphalt, probably?
I didn't see the gravel. but I couldn't have done anything else, because if I would have just like tried to brake more and tried to wait for Checo to stop spinning, basically, I would have probably gotten hit by Charles, because he had, well, his wheel was hanging off. So there was nowhere to go, and it was just super unlucky that there was a bit of gravel, and that's why you just understeer into the wall.
Alex, Checo was running third in the first Bahrain race and won the second one. So probably from his point of view, he kind of did everything he could to show what he's capable of. Looking back over the last few weeks, do you think you managed to do the same, or were there things you could have done better with the benefit of hindsight?
Yeah, well, firstly, I mean, I'm not focused on Sergio in that sense. I mean, I have to do my own job and focus on my own results. So the comparison for me is more just, what can I do a bit better? And truthfully, the last couple of races have felt pretty good. It just most probably last Bahrain in qualifying wasn't amazing. But apart from that, I do feel like I've been making progress.
What is the situation for this weekend? You're in the press conference now, but what do you know about driving for the rest of?
We don't know yet. I think it's up to Mercedes and obviously Lewis's recovery. I'm just waiting for confirmation either way. Obviously, I would love to be back in the car because, like I said, I think I've made some big steps, and this weekend would be even stronger. But really, I just have to wait and listen to see what the confirmation will be.
Dave Robson said Williams missed George Russell during the Sakir Grand Prix. Did you miss him as a teammate as well? And what were the main differences with Jack next to you?
Definitely better looking. I guess I kind of missed him. I mean, when he, I think, came by to lap me the first time, it's kind of like, hey George, nice to see you again. But if Jack is in the car now again this weekend, which we still don't know, I mean, he has more experience now. He's just going to build his pace, build his rhythm, and now that he has a bit more of a consistent reference, let's say, I say consistent, but consistent is only one full Grand Prix weekend, but it's still better than he was, I guess, going into the last race weekend.
100% better already.
Yeah, it could exactly. It can maybe change a bit, but I mean, either way, I think it doesn't really change much my approach. It's still to try and get the maximum out of the car. So.
Are you going into this weekend treating it as your final Formula One Grand Prix? Do you see yourself making a comeback in the future, or are you sort of at peace with things if this is your final start?
I'm pretty at peace with it. I mean, it's I know in motorsport you should never say never. In Formula One, lots of things can happen, and you should never say never. But I'm ready to call this my last race. It's like I'm gonna go out and enjoy it and drive the car, this amazing car that is so satisfying to drive, and just kind of think back on this amazing opportunity that I've been given. It's like growing up as a kid and dreaming about Formula One and wanting to get to Formula One and then get there and make a career out of it. It's something that I feel really lucky and privileged to be able to have done.
I think everyone was hoping that this would be Romain's last F1 race this weekend. Obviously, that hasn't happened how people would have hoped. What kind of driver has Formula One lost? You've obviously had a good view of the ups and downs that made Romain.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I experienced with Romain is an incredibly fast driver on one lap. Not that he's not quick in the race; he's super quick in the race as well. But especially in one lap, he is something special. And I think it's having him as a benchmark, especially in qualifying, has really made me a better qualifier. It's you seriously need to get it right to beat Romain in qualifying. It's hard to imagine that anyone can be much quicker than him because on his day he is phenomenal on one lap. So I think Yeah, it's been, Formula One is funny because I think, Romain has made some mistakes in the last few years that have gained a lot of attention and kind of, I think, taken away from him some of the credit he should have been given for his abilities in the car, because I think my personal feeling is that there's not a lot of people that can be faster than him on one lap.
I think my career in F1 was extremely fast. Like, everything happened so fast. Sometimes after my first stint in F1, I didn't even understand really what happened. I came after GP3, so I missed a step before Formula One. Not missed, but that was a decision that was taken at the time. So I went to Toro Rosso, had a strong year in Toro Rosso at the time, and then immediately promoted to Red Bull Racing after 1 year. Then I also had a strong season with Red Bull Racing there. Then we all know what happened. And then I had a couple of tough years. I think I always lacked a bit of experience in F1, actually, because everything happened so fast. And when I came back last year, in 2019, I just took a very different approach. I just basically, not that I forgot everything what I've been doing before, but I just started from a very fresh page, in a way, like a bit like a rookie again. But I managed to learn new things, and also this year I managed to feel a lot of progress. It was a very interesting year, and I think all in all, last 2 years were very competitive, and I'm a lot more complete only in these last 2 years in Formula One, and only now I feel like I'm ready for, to drive always on a high level, and also if opportunity would come with the top team now, it would be different story.
Esteban, great drive in Sakir, well done.
Thank you.
Now, after the race, you spoke about Daniel being a good benchmark for you. So could you tell us perhaps a lesson you learned from him on and off the track? And if I may, for Daniel, what did Ocon teach you this year?
He's been a very, very good benchmark for me. I've learned a lot of things, obviously. He's top one on all sessions, and he's always pushing and extracting the best from the car, and that's been pushing me and pushing my side of the garage as well to do better, because you need to get that car to get around the fastest way possible, and this year I've been learning that alongside Daniel. So yeah, it's been good to have him as a benchmark for my return.
Thank you. And Daniel, your thoughts on Esteban?
Yes, I think any time you have a new teammate up alongside you, there's always a challenge in any shape or form. I think with if I go back to last year, Hulkenberg, it's not that common these days, but he had more experience than me and more experience within the team. So there was a bit I could learn through that. With Esteban, he's I guess part of the younger generation now, and young and hungry, and they don't seem to waste too much time getting up to speed. So I think you always kept on your heels one way or another. I think when you come across another competitor, and I think that's really with teammates is, yes, you work together, obviously, to get the team going, but at the end of the day, you guys are the biggest rivals as well. So, but yeah, I think high speed corners, he's pretty good. He's not afraid. He's not scared. So I think high speeds. I think you enjoy those, don't you?
Why, really?
High speed corners.
You think?
I don't know. I enjoy them.
All right.
But
I do. I do enjoy them.
We were pretty close at high speeds. So
all right.
I guess you do, but no, it was.
You are good with slow speed, then. Is that what you mean?
Low speed's a bit boring, huh?
Yeah, it is, but you're pretty good at it.
Anyways, it's hard. It's hard to be here and tickle each other's tummies. So we'll move on.
When Alonso left Ferrari, he said after 5 years of not winning, he felt a lot of pressure, and if you're not winning at Ferrari, it's very difficult. Have you felt the same thing?
Well, I don't know if I buy into the pressure thing. I think pressure you put on yourself. So, as I said, I had the clear mission and target to win. I think I have obviously an emotional attachment to the team. Growing up, seeing Michael win, etc. So it was a very special moment when I joined the team. But the pressure thing, I think also the fact that the pressure in Italy, the fans and so on, yes, it is there, but ultimately, I always set the highest sort of expectations on myself, and I think I was the first and best judge if I didn't achieve them. So rest assured, when I stuffed the car in the gravel in Germany, that I wasn't happy before the Tifosi weren't happy. So that's why, I'm not really, I think it sounds nice and it adds a little bit of drama to everything, but I'm definitely not holding that as an excuse for, coming short here and there.
Kimi, for a guy who's won a world championship, won 21 races, more than 100 podiums, how frustrated have you got this year?
I'm not frustrated, but obviously it's far from what we wanted. I think last year we did, let's say, a pretty decent job. Obviously later on the year we were definitely not where we wanted to be, but obviously hopes were higher, but it was quite soon quite obvious to all of us that it's not going to be what we were like to be, and we just have to work and try to do a better job next year. But that's how it goes. Some years are more tricky for many reasons, and obviously in this sport the car makes a huge difference in the end, and good or bad, I think it's every year you have disappointing results and good results, and somewhere in the middle, but that's a part of the game.
Carlos, you spoke in Sakir about what Formula One is missing out on, that a driver largely depends on his car and cannot show his true value, perhaps. If we look at the 2022 generation of cars, from what you know, will that be, in your opinion, a change for the better?
I have no idea, because I think it all depends on how close the teams are from each other. Obviously, everyone is expecting the cars to be a bit slower at the beginning and then develop as the years go on. I wish that we can close the group up together. I think FOM, Liberty, FIA have done a very good job with the 2022 regulations. They've given that a chance, so hopefully that happens, and the sport becomes a bit more human dependent in terms of driving and less machinery dependent, because I think the sport can be a lot closer, a lot more fun, will create a greater audience, and I think it will be better for everyone.